Thanks, folks, for joining us again on a V2VG video podcast. And it's been a while.
It has, and, kind of felt weird, huh?
It has. It's felt a little bit weird, but we've had a lot of moving parts. To be flat out honest with everybody.
Well, yeah, we're stepping into our holiday aspect of things.
Mm-hmm.
We had Patrick as an intern, and then he ran the interview for the last video. So
he did do that, and then we in between all of that, between the video and this video, we established a thrift store.
Yes,
so, and it's still in process of working, but we have it all going.
Yeah, this is at maybe like the third stage of right, because we're just behind of setting up.
4.5.
Yeah, so. But we will have our board meeting there this week, so
we are.
Everybody will be able to see it.
We got to move chairs there.
Yep.
But that ain't nothing.
That's easy. So that is exciting.
Yeah, it's a wholly owned subsidiary of Veterans to Veterans Group. It's called the V2VG Thrift, and its mission is to further our mission. Its main goal is so that way we don't have these massive yard sales on the lawn anymore that really take a lot of our time and resources in the summer. They really have been, they've been kicking our ass.
And this way we'll have a year-round way of getting income. That was a big problem before.
And, with inflation and the cost of energy going up, heating energy, and I have a feeling, that this winter is going to really kick us in the treasury.
I completely I believe that's the case. This is the highest you just paid for 100 gallons, correct?
580.
Yeah, that's the most you've paid, and you've been here, 16, 17 years?
About that, yeah.
So that says something.
It says something. It's only 100 gallons, and we offset our heat with our wood stove.
Yes, yep.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But this video is a different topic. We've recently, it's not that we've come to realize this, but it's dawned on us on a more personal level that there's a lot of sayings for this, right? Karma, what comes around goes around. Good things come to those who wait, things like that.
Yeah.
You give what you get, or you get what you give. Sayings like that, and there are good people left in this world.
Yeah, and the thing is too is like we were talking about, whether it be whatever type of religion, or like you said, karma, or positive vibes. These things happen, and a lot of times I'm not sure if we as people who are in an industry of giving, like we do with Veterans Group, like Easter Seals and all these organizations we work with, we forget that that how important we are to ourselves. Like, we have to worry about our own family, have to worry about those things.
Well, one of the sayings is charity begins at home, and sometimes I agree, sometimes I disagree, but you can't fully disagree with that.
No, definitely. And so my family and I looking to purchase a house for the first time and stuff, and I've been very self-critical of myself for probably as long before you even met me, and I've always felt less than in a lot of ways, but since we've been doing this with Veterans Group in the last 5 years, I've put so much energy into it. I feel like it has definitely, in my mind anyway, eased some of that self-burden of the mistakes I've made and the things that I have done wrong and stuff, and kind of made me a more centered individual.
We always tell people, our veterans, our first responders, their family, we always tell them there's nothing wrong with asking for assistance, right? There's no shame in it. But yet, when it comes to us asking for assistance, we feel a little bit of shame. And it's like, then we have to step back and be like, wait a minute.
Yep.
Got to take our own advice here. Like, everybody needs help. Even the helpers need help sometimes, Who helps the helpers, right?
And it's not like when we have to ask for help, we're asking strangers. A lot of times it's people organizations we've already committed, so we know
our peers,
there's something there.
Yeah.
and it was tough for me to ask for help because obviously I rent a house now. I had to put basically a holding payment on the house that I'll get back in the end and stuff.
Payment.
And having to come up with both on top of prepping for Christmas, Thanksgiving, all those things that we're all struggling with right now. It was difficult for me to go to this resource that we rarely use anyway. I mean, it's a special situation for us to reach out to this organization. So
it really is. And so it was a little bit even more sort of awkward. And so I sent these folks a memo.
Well, before that, what's funny is because it was awkward to bring the organization, I tried to contact these individuals personally, and apparently my voicemail was very muffled and hard to understand.
Yes.
And
on their end. Right.
And their next business day, they called our business phone. And
well,
they were like,
with a client, so you didn't understand what was happening, right?
And they're like, so you gave our phone number out to somebody?
You're like,
so
no.
It was like a very interesting miscommunication and stuff. And then because now that I guess the cards have been seen at this point, you kind of took the lead on explaining the situation to this organization and stuff. And so you sent a memo.
I sent a memo, and they said, we can't, it's a pecuniary benefit. It's not, our bylaws won't allow for us to organization. We can't help. Sorry, we can't help. It's too close of a conflict of interest to help.
Basically, however, that's the way I saw it.
Yeah, and which is fair. We understood, and it was a long shot anyway. And so we were like, shit. And then the individual says, but I'm going to go ahead and send you, Chuck, a personal check for the amount that's needed. And, God bless him and have him be on his way. And we were just like, what? Holy shit.
Yeah, it was so mind-blowing. And granted, neither one of us have the ability to have funds like that where we can do that. But we have, on many instances, paid out of our pocket for different things to help families because our organization wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, over the years.
So we understand on a more small scale, but what he did, honestly, I probably read it 3 or 4 times because I just didn't understand it.
I can imagine you were like, wait a minute. Did I read that right?
And so I showed Sarah, and she's like,
because it was like, no, but yes.
Yeah, but there was no but, which is what was weird.
No yes.
So Sarah's like, what the fuck is this? What does this mean? Are they going to help or not? And so she was like,
they aren't going to help. He's going to help.
But, individuals like this and organizations, first of all, the fact that he checked to see if I would qualify for that type of assistance, and then to immediately respond with the no and why, which isn't a necessity.
It could have just been no, and
then which
would have been fine.
Yeah, but then to take it the next level and make a personal gift, donation, however you want to see it, is like the 3 different steps of kind of what we try to be, right? We try and always
do our best. Family through service, right? We do our best to do that. And in our way, in our smaller, arguably smaller way, non-financial ways, still growing ways,
yes.
Yeah.
And and even we know our board of directors quite well at this point, I would say.
Point, yeah.
And even if there's something that comes across our desks and we're like, there's no way they're going to go for it, we always at least put it up there.
We have an obligation to, yeah.
And whenever we
say that to the clients too, like we'll try, but you always say we're not in the business of guaranteeing anything or promising anything.
Yeah, don't make any promises.
But we will do our best, and we will put it up to the board of directors to a vote. And it's not our money to make a decision on. It's the board of directors' money. It's the organization's money, or resources, depending on what it is. And see what happens. And we've been surprised.
And there have been some things that you and I were like, there's no way this is going to pass.
Yeah, especially me. I'm like, there's no fucking way.
Like, for example, like we would almost never turn down an actual service animal, but we've been questionable about emotional support animals.
Sure.
And you and I have both been like, well, it only needs this. I really don't know. And we kind of had to wrestle around with the idea, but we put it up, and surprisingly, to both of us, it passed to help an emotional support animal.
Yeah, because emotional support, if you don't know, is different from a service animal in that, at least at this time, emotional support animals are not protected by the Americans with Disabilities Act.
So they're separate. There's
similar.
documentation, which is big, but they're separate in. An emotional support dog is kind of a generalized position.
And the legal status is different.
And when you're talking about an actual animal, like a service animal, they're very mission driven, right? They have one job, and that is their job, and which is interesting. But it is just great. I mean, even though in our gut feeling we're like, this probably won't work, it was great to see the diversity that we have.
And as much as I was surprised and somewhat disappointed in some ways, because in one particular motion I was like, but it doesn't matter my personal feelings. I like the fact that our board is not a board of yes men or yes people, because most of our board is women.
Oh yeah, that's true, huh?
Technically.
Actually, yeah, it's 5-4.
5-4.
5 women and 4 men.
So, I was genuinely surprised, and I was happy to know that our board are made up of independent thinkers, and that's what you want.
And the fact that this veteran knew, actually it was a referral from Rob Norris.
A referral veteran, yeah.
And even Rob and the veteran both were very, they were anticipating a negative response.
It was a Hail Mary pass. It was a long shot.
They had already
just throwing it out there to see what happens.
Yeah, they went to, I think, at least 5 or 6 other organizations where they didn't even process paperwork.
It was just nope and hang up.
And when we did our paperwork, and we're like, listen, I really just don't know how it's going to go. So
they were happy we even entertained it.
But then when we got the response, this veteran was like, and I can relate because of my situation, but just how amazed he was to want someone to listen and validate his feelings on whatever the situation is, and then to push it forward to a decision-making stage, but then to follow up with the response is so huge for a lot of people we work with.
We get a lot of the time, Chuck, people so often, at least maybe once, twice a week maybe, people who call us up say, regardless of what happens, and I'm paraphrasing, right? Regardless of what happens, thank you for listening.
And, and it's funny.
Which is big for them.
We talked about this not too long ago about how we have certain clients that show their gratitude well after the time of assistance. And, with this veteran that reached out to us after we were just talking about him, honestly, all we had done at that point was, it was a long day, but we drove down there just to make sure he got into his apartment safely. It was a 2-hour drive.
2-hour drive each way.
Yeah.
It was cold that day, but he needed assistance, and his sister couldn't help him get in by herself.
Yeah.
To get into his apartment because the rails were rickety, and it was icy that day.
But at least once a month he calls us.
But the VA would not release him unless he had a guaranteed assistance to get into his place. So we drove there, man, and that's our way of doing the assistance from this other place. We drove. We helped him in.
Yeah.
Said, we talked to him, and then we drove back.
And, he at least once a month calls and checks in on us, and I guess he's been in a better spot financially lately. He just called. He's like, I want to send you you guys some money. And so I'm like, listen, that's not something that's expected from our end. We don't. No. I was like, if you want to just say thank you, send us a thank you card. That means just as much to us. Yeah. But he talks to us like we're family. He really does.
Which I appreciate. I know you appreciate.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It just solidifies our motto, Family Through Service, because we really try to live up to that, because otherwise, what's the point of having a motto if you don't stick to it, right?
And even with you guys hit a very big financial hurdle recently with the chimney, and again,
But-
we're like, what are we going to do? How are we going to come up with this? And to be able to reach out to these other organizations
out
and
for
stuff,
us.
and it
Oh,
is
that
so
organization
difficult.
worked out for
yeah,
us,
it's
yeah.
so difficult because we do tell people, oh, you have to ask, but then we still have this premeditative mentality
It
of
was
being
tough.
veterans.
It was
and
tough. I'm not gonna lie, it was tough, and I had to swallow some pride. But $11,500 is something I just don't have in my pocket
yeah,
to
it's
spend on a new chimney and chimney liner.
but it's one of those things too where we balance
We'll
each
pay
other
it
out.
back, but
When you were struggling with that, you and Jen, and I was like, oh, why don't we reach out to X, Y, and Z? And we
Yeah.
were able to do that, and you got the positive results. And it was the same thing where I was like, okay, who should I reach out to? And you gave me the confidence. Okay, yeah, let's at least reach out to this foundation and see what happens. And
just to see.
but my gratitude towards these people and the people that we deal with that are not getting paid to do what we do, what this individual does, some of these other organizations, it's hard not to become emotional when it is your own family, your own backyard,
because it affects us.
Yeah.
Right? It's obviously.
but this is so huge. And I thought it'd be cool for us to do something a little more positive.
Yeah.
We do kind of crap on some organizations sometimes, like the VA, or we talk about some dark, ominous type stuff. But just with the way things have been going at the beginning of this fall/winter time frame for us,
Yeah.
a lot of unfortunate things have happened, and a lot of very positive results have happened from those, which has been amazing.
So the bottom line is, if you don't ask, the answer is going to be no. The answer is always no if you don't ask, okay?
There it is.
And the second thing is, don't be afraid to ask. Swallow your pride and ask. And don't accept no for an answer from somebody who can't say yes, right? If you get the first person, they're like, no, we can't help. And you get the feeling that, can you actually authorize assistance? Try to go up the chain a little bit,
Yeah.
Be professional. You get more flies with honey than with vinegar, all those things. Those little sayings are all true, and scattershot your request, because you can always say to an association, organization, foundation, whatever, who says,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll help you. You can always say, hey, thank you, but no, we already have got assistance from somewhere else. Thank you so much. And you know what? You can ask them again later on in life if you need help.
Yeah.
And they're going to remember that you said, no, we don't need help. And you didn't just take their
Oh, yeah.
whatever and put it in your or whatever the case is, right? Because you want to develop this rapport with these organizations, right?
And and every place is different. For example, we have roughly a 48-hour turnover from when we finish the paperwork. You have a place like Friends of Veterans; they vote
Sure.
every week. Easter
Thursdays, I
Seals
think.
could be anywhere from a week to a month. So
Depending.
every organization is a little bit different,
Sure,
and depending
sure.
on what your needs are.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just. Plus, it's better to ask a bunch of places for a little bit of money than one place for a lot. So
Yeah, so scattershot your request.
yeah,
You can always say no, thank you. I've already got help. Then putting, like my grandfather used to say, putting all your eggs in one basket.
yeah.
Don't count on one organization, and if they don't come through, be like, oh, now I'm 2 months past due. Don't do that, because you could end up really screwing yourself over.
Yeah, and I think our biggest things as veterans and first responders is that we're amazing advocates for others, whether it be our family members, our brothers
Yeah,
and sisters
sure.
in arms.
Yep.
But we are the worst self-advocators out there. We are just terrible.
Very often.
And that is unfortunate. And
Yeah.
it's almost as if we feel like we don't deserve.
Or we
that.
can handle it on our own. We're
Yes.
tough. We've been trained to handle shit on. Look, I was trained to handle certain things. I wasn't trained to handle other things, but I wasn't trained to handle a financial catastrophe.
Yeah, they didn't train me in any of home purchasing at all in my time in the Marine Corps.
So in the boot camp, they didn't train you what to do.
But
Right, folks. So and on for Veterans to Veterans group, okay, if you're in the New Hampshire area or the Northern Vermont area or whatever, or wherever, and you need some help, contact us. We can see what we can do for you, and if we can't help you, we'll try to find someone who can. And not a 1-800 number or a website. We'll do our best to give you a direct line, a direct name, and a direct number. Anybody can look up a website. We'll do our best to give you a point of contact.
yeah,
All right,
and
that's what we do.
as been said by the most famous Kevin Costner, if you build it, they will come.
All right. Thanks, folks. Now I got to get up and turn off the fucking camera.
Oh yeah, we no controller for this one, huh?